Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well and welcome to another session of Perspective 360 Degree where we are going to do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. But before we begin the session, can you please confirm in the chat box that whether I'm audible to all of you or not? If my voice, fine. So voice and video, everything is fine. So let us begin with the session. So basically, as you would be knowing that today is Wednesday. So as a part of today's session, we are going to focus upon the static portion. On every Monday and Friday, we focus upon the current affair portion, but on every Wednesday, we focus upon the static portion as a part of the Answerathon series. So I hope it is pretty much clear to all of you that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m. this perspective 360 degree session that is conducted. Fine. So let us begin and let us begin with today's topic. And if you remember, if you attended last class of Answerathon, that is on last Wednesday, then over there I gave you a question which is basically this one. Fine, I gave you this topic and you were supposed to prepare this topic, and today what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a question with respect to this topic. And once this session ends, what we are going to do, I'm going to give you another homework question from the next topic which you have to prepare for the next week. So this way we are targeting to cover the entire syllabus with respect to this examination. So I hope it is clear to you. So now let us talk about the globalization. Fine, let us talk about the question that I have added as a part of this session with respect to this topic of globalization. So this is the practice question for today. So discuss the WTO's main functions in global trade and evaluate the reforms needed to reinforce its governance role. So basically the question is very much straightforward. What you have to do, you have to write the answer of this question in the comment box. That will be evaluated by our team. Fine. So if you are writing your answer in the comment box within 48 hours, it will be evaluated by our team. So this is the question that discuss, firstly what you have to do, you have to discuss the main functions, and then you have to focus on the reforms that are needed in order to reinforce the governance role of World Trade Organization. And World Trade Organization was already there in the news because of the different tariffs that are happening from the side of the US on different economies. So in this era of economic nationalization, I would say the role of WTO has become very important. Fine. So that is what the question is asking about, that what are the reforms that are needed, because if the WTO was doing its job effectively, then up to a huge extent most of this problem would have been solved that we are witnessing with respect to the global trade. But somewhere there are limitations that are associated with the WTO. So that is why this question has been framed. So how you can attempt this question, let me show you the sample with respect to it, that what is the model that you can follow with respect to the outline of this question. So firstly you will begin with the introduction, and the introduction you can talk about briefly regarding the World Trade Organization, that it is the primary global body for managing international trade since 1995. You can also talk about WTO's mandate, which is to facilitate smooth, predictable and fair international trade. And lastly you can write a connecting line. Connecting line is a line that is basically connecting your introduction with the body part. So you can write it that over here, if we talk about WTO, yes, while the WTO performs key functions that uphold the global trade order, modern trade dynamics have changed its ability to govern effectively, necessitating the strategic reforms. So this is something that you can write as a part of your connecting line. But of course this is just a sample, this is just a model answer, model outline. I would suggest you to write your own version. You can talk about, I would say, the recent protectionist policies also with respect to America or maybe some other country that was there in the news. You can talk about US China trade war also as a part of your introduction. You don't have to over explain it, but you can just provide a hint with respect to the relevancy to the question, because the question is asking about the reform. So you can touch upon this challenge also. So based on your idea, based on your originality, what you can do, you can write some sort of introduction. After that comes the body part, and as a part of the body, what you have to do, question is firstly asking about the functions. Fine. So you will firstly touch upon the functions of the WTO, that is the main functions of the World Trade Organization in global trade. After that, what you can do, since the question is asking about reforms, but before approaching the reforms, what you can do, you can also talk about the challenges that are faced by the WTO. But please mind that you don't have to over explain them. You just have to write, I would say, write a heading. Fine, for example, like challenges with respect to WTO. Under it, you can just write the subheadings 1, 2, 3, and 4. Do not try to explain the subheadings, otherwise, what will happen? You will be compromising with the time. Fine. So, if you are adding the challenges also, and after that you are writing the key reforms, then I would say your answer would become more organized and more well structured. So this is the approach I would say that you can follow as a part of it. So firstly, talk about the function, then talk about challenges very precisely, do not over explain, and then talk about the key reforms. For example, if you talk about the key functions of WTO, as a part of the key functions of WTO, you can talk about that how WTO plays an important role as a rule making and a body that enables legislative framework at the global level with respect to the global trade. You can talk, or you can also talk about the function of WTO with respect to the dispute resolution mechanism with respect to different countries, so that there is enabling of fair trade practices. You can also talk about the trade negotiation. For example, you must have heard about Uruguay round. Fine, where the negotiation happens. You must have heard about Doha development. Fine, where the different advancements happen with respect to the negotiations between the different countries. You can add such kind of value addition points with respect to it. Apart from that, you can also talk about that WTO maintains transparency and accountability as a part of its mechanism. Fine, though there are certain limitations that are associated with it, but it is a key function. For example, WTO performs trade policy reviews with respect to different countries, which ensures that the different countries that are there, whether they are aligning with the fair and transparent trade policies or not. So that is something which is ensured by the World Trade Organization. So these, I would say, could be the important features with respect to WTO. Of course, you can write different points in your own language. Now the second part of the body is regarding the current challenges. So what are the challenges that the WTO is facing currently? One of the most important challenge, I would say, is with respect to the dispute resolution body that is there, which is basically the appellate body, because the appellate body is still non-functional. Why it is non-functional? Because of the blocking that has been done by the US. Fine. So what US has done, basically US has blocked the judicial appointment of members as a part of this dispute resolution body, or you can say the dispute settlement body, which is the official word that the WTO uses. So that could be the first challenge. Apart from that, basically you can say that rules that are there with respect to WTO, they are quite outdated. Fine. For example, these days we are witnessing I would say revolution with respect to digital economy. So WTO rules have to be adjusted with respect to that. We are also keeping into consideration the environmental or the climate change factors in a more amplified manner as compared to the previous global order. So that is something, these are the advancements with which the WTO needs to adapt as a part of its rule making also. Then another challenge can be there with respect to, I would say, the rise of protectionism. This is something that I have already told you. For example, US-China trade war. Fine, the recent policies of US that you must have heard in the newspaper. Apart from that, I would say the inconclusive agreements also, or you can say the inconclusive outcomes. You must be knowing that very recently in February 2024, basically what happened, this ministerial conference of WTO happened. I think it was 13th ministerial conference, and most of the objectives that were there as a part of this ministerial conference, they were very much inconclusive. Fine, no productive output was there as a part of it. So you can see that could be another current challenge with respect to WTO. Next comes the major reforms. Now what type of reforms can be there? The first reform is going to be I would say the first and the foremost, the most important reform, that is with respect to the appointment of members with respect to the dispute settlement body. Fine, we need to restore the appellate body that is there as a part of the WTO. We can also talk about modernizing of the trade rules with respect to the present global order that is there. Fine. Apart from that, you can also talk about strengthening the role of developing countries, because a lot of time what happens, the developed countries that are there, fine, for example US, basically they always try to promote their own interest, and they do not take care with respect to the interests of the developing countries like India, and these developing countries do not have enough representation or participation with respect to the decision making. That is a problematic factor. So it is very important that while bringing the reforms, we need to strengthen the developing countries participation also, so that fair and I would say fair and efficient decision making can be there as a part of the WTO procedures. So that is the idea. These are the different type of reforms that you can write. Apart from that, you can write other reforms also. Fine, that you are able to think of. Lastly, you can talk about the conclusion that basically without meaningful institutional reforms, the WTO risk diminished authority and relevance. So what could be the final note? A type of way forward. What do we need? A stronger modernized WTO is essential to tackle current and future global trade challenges collectively and equitably. So this is how you can structure your answer. Fine, and I hope the structure is pretty much clear to all of you. Firstly, we are talking about introduction, then the body in a point wise manner using heading and subheading, and lastly the conclusion part. And we have also talked about the value addition points. For example, we have seen US China trade war. Fine, we have also talked about, for example, Uruguay round, Doha development. Fine, also sort of things. You can also talk about the rise of regionalism, which is, I would say, a sub point of protectionism only. For example, you must have heard about European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanism, which creates friction between the developing countries that are there. Please read about it, the carbon border adjustment mechanism. So that could be another, I would say, a rise of regional trade bloc as a part of the fair and transparent global trade policy. So that can be another type of value addition example. You can write different type of points, whatever you are able to relate with respect to the newspaper as a part of this answer. You have complete liberty. So I hope it is clear to you. So submit your answer within 48 hours if you want it to get evaluated. Now these are the questions. Just for your practice, the answer to these questions are not going to get evaluated in the comment box. So please practice it by yourself. And the first question is related to IMF. IMF needs more constructive reforms to tackle new regulatory challenges like cryptocurrency and e-commerce. Fine. So please try to attempt this question. Apart from that, what is the significance of World Bank's involvement in India's development? Fine. So this is another question, 10-marker question. And what are the key challenges hindering FDI inflows into India, and what policy measures are necessary to create more attractive and stable investment climate? This is a 15-marker question. Now, if you talk about, I would say, IMF, it was there in the news because of the Pakistan. Fine. Apart from that, if you talk about FDI, and if you are following our daily shorts with respect to daily editorial drill, fine, that we upload on the same YouTube channel. Few days back only I discussed an editorial with respect to foreign direct investment, that how basically the foreign direct investments are decreasing. Fine. And what are the factors with respect to it? So if you have followed that short, you can write the answer. Otherwise you can do some research also on Google, and based on that you can write your answer. So these two things were already there in the news, and this World Bank, you can attempt this question also. So this is a practice question. I hope it is clear to you, and this is the homework topic for the next week. Fine, for the next Wednesday. And next Wednesday when we will meet, I'm going to provide you question from this part only, and this is from the social structure in India, and you can complete it within 1 week. That is multiculturalism, demographic trends, urbanization, migration, gender issues, and social justice. And if you were following this initiative, you can see that within 5 weeks we were able to cover the ESI component. So I gave you the homework, and if you were following the homework, then the ESI syllabus is completed now. After that we will start with finance, and we will also start the ARD topics also. Fine. So we will do that also for the NABARD students, and I hope it is clear to you. Now these are the tab blogs that you can follow on our website, where you can find different informative articles with respect to the range of competitive exams. So you can go to a website and you can read them. And that is it from my end. So thank you so much and all the best. So now I'm ending the session. I think there is nothing in the chat box.